Hello my friends, my family, my esteemed colleagues. Today I want to talk about aging. This is something that we are all interested in because, let's face it, nobody really is eager to die. Now many people are claiming that, oh, there is a pill coming out. Some people say, well, secret is a seaweed. Some people are saying that secret is spirulina or other antioxidants. And why? Because the concept of aging cannot be addressed without having in consideration information or science which is not accepted by mainstream science. And this science is science of emotion. Now, emotion is something that you cannot see, you cannot touch, you cannot prove or disprove. It is a feeling. We all know we have it. Same as we know we have a pain, but emotion, well, how can emotion influence something to happen? Well, I explained many times that emotion actually can influence symptoms of ill health to appear. And I explained the mechanism in which this happens. But today I want to talk about aging process. And if there is anybody that tells you that they found this sacred mix of things that they put together and now this is anti-aging, this is big baloney. Why? Here we go. We know that our body is made out of cells. Those cells, when they are put under circumstances of toxicity, if they cannot cope with the toxicity, they become toxic themselves. If they cannot cleanse the toxicity, voltage drops down. As the voltage drops down, the cells starts proliferating, which means they start building their new self. They kind of split in half. Most of the toxic material stays on the what we call old cell, and the new cell that now continues to thrive assumes the job of the previous cell. The old cell is supposed to be destroyed by macrophage, which very often does not happen easily because we don't have markers to mark them. Why? Again, I don't want to go much into it because this is all going to go, everything is so entangled together that explaining one thing unless you know the other, it could be quite complicated. So let's focus just basically on the aging, what concerns the aging process. So main thing is that cells have ability to replace themselves when they become sick. And when they cannot fix themselves. Now, we are being told that this cycle of replacing itself can go up to 35 times, which means you hit the limit, you die. Well, this is not exactly what happens. In the experiment that was done to check how long can one cell live, which cell of a heart of a chicken was used, and we know chicken lives maximum 12 years. And this cell of a chicken heart lived 25 years without proliferating. Okay, it never changed. But what was important that every day the environment was controlled and changed. So the cell was always in a clean environment. And the cell did not die from old age. It died because the person in charge forgot to change the solution. So it got toxic and the cell died. Now, cells in a toxic medium die much faster than cells in toxic body. The reason for it is because when cell cannot supply enough energy for itself because it's too toxic, energy is the electricity, it cannot hold it because it becomes acidic, so basically it gets discharged and dies. Well, in a body when this happens, then the brain will support those cells. It will channel energy in those particular frequencies that the cell requires. And this is what prevents cancer to grow in a toxic body. It's only when emotion hits the brain in particular frequency and robs this energy of this frequency, then the organ that depends on it, that resonates with the same frequency, develops cancer. It's proven fact. Dr. Hammer wrote about it, but way before Dr. Hammer. This is known for ages, that emotions create diseases. Now, as aging goes, one thing attention is being placed to always are the telomeres. Now, what is telomere? Telomere is basically protrusion that comes out of chromosome. It is protrusion of the DNA. So you have a chain of 2 ribonucleic acid, which we call deoxyribonucleic, the chain of that bonds genes. So you have the DNA with the genes on it inside of a tissue bag, and the DNAs protrude from this bag without a genetic load. It is something similar to this. Okay, so these are the 2 strains. These are the 2 RNA strains, which now we call DNA. This is the genetic code which is inside, engulfed in this bag, and the protrusion are extension of the RNAs. Now, these protrusions are very long, and what is noticed that they shorten up after cell went through proliferation. So every time the cell replaces itself, it is noticed that the telomeres are shorter and shorter. Now, what is this telomere? The telomere is basically sensor, and it reacts to frequencies. So as the frequency hits it, it starts to vibrate. This vibration is being transferred into the chromosome and acts on the genes. And according to this vibration, genes start to resonate. If there is a gene that finds the same, that is geared to the same vibration, it starts to resonate with it. And we call it the active gene. Now it is obvious, longer the telomeres, the more wavelengths they can catch, the more different impulses they can catch and transmit, which means it's the same like a TV. If you have a TV and you have a big antenna, you can maybe catch 200 stations. With a smaller antenna, maybe you can get 20 stations. With very 2 short sticks that you put in there, maybe you can get 1 station, but without antenna you cannot get anything. So this becomes obvious as the telomeres are shrinking. There is less information coming into the cell. Cell with less information is limited with its action, and it cannot perform properly. So now, of course, there are these experts, if they found the cure, now we are going to extend the telomeres. And they have a million ways how to extend telomeres. Well, number 1, telomeres never really shortens up. It never gets shorter. What happens, and this was noticed many times over, more polluted environment there is, telomeres start curling up. Why? Because there is a difference in transmission and receiving. When you transmit, you need a lot of power. So the telomeres also has to be longer. When you are receiving, it doesn't really matter so much because you can receive even on smaller scale. Now the thing is that as the telomeres curl, they cannot receive much and they cannot transmit much, especially transmitting. If they are sending messages, they cannot really do it. So communication is being cut. Now, this proves one point, that it doesn't matter how many times the cell has proliferated, how many times it has changed itself, coming to the limit of 35 times, it's really not important. What is important is that the telomeres are long. And telomeres are going to be long if the environment is clean. So the reason why telomeres curl up and shorten themselves in a toxic environment is exactly the reason why they get shorter when the cell proliferated. Because cell proliferated because it was toxic from toxic environment in the first place. And as time goes on, if you don't cleanse, environment will get more and more toxic, and the telomeres will get shorter and shorter, and it doesn't matter if the cell was proliferating or not. It just happens that every time it proliferates because environment was more toxic, and the telomeres on a new cell that is there is normally now shorter because of the environment. But you can extend them. Cleanse the blood. Cleanse the cell. Without cleansing the cell, you cannot do it. And just matter way how you go about the cleansing. And the best way is water and sea salt. But this still does not answer the aging problem. Because again, within a chicken, the telomeres were shorter, but again, the whole chicken lives only 12 years, and the cell could live in excess of 25 years, in my opinion, forever, as long as it is in clean environment. What makes the cell to stop functioning is message that it receives. And this message comes from a programming that every living creature is being programmed with. I have explained in longevity basically that nature repeats itself in demonstrating that the final age of any organism depends on the length of its youthful stage. So if you are, if it takes you 1 year before you can procreate, before you are sexually ready, before your young days are over and now you are adult, if it takes you 1 year, then programming is that 25 to 35 times this time it is going to be your final age. This is seen in a wolf. Some people claim wolf in nature lives 12 years. It's a bollock. This is not true. Wolf lives at least 25 years. But there were cases found 35 years. So just look at the Amazon green parrot, yellow nap, what do you call it? Its youth age is about 6 years, and then it can live up to 150 years. Here we are going again 35 times. Chicken, we just spoke, chicken can live up to 12 years. Well, 6 months is basically the youthfulness, young age of the chicken. So again, here we are 25, 35 times. It's everywhere through the wild nature. Humans, well, our youth is 14 years. Let's say 13. Now it's getting even shorter. Why we procreate faster and faster? Because we have changed our environment. Before, menstruation was coming, girls 13, 14 years old. Now even 9-year-old. Why? Because we are becoming more toxic. As we become more toxic, the expectation of the body to live is shorter, and everything is accelerated, so procreation can take place. So you procreate earlier because you cannot live long enough then to take care of this child that you have created. So it is all synchronized. But if we take in consideration that, let's take it 13 years, then here we go. How many people live to be 130 years old? Very few. Average age now is dropping below 70. It used to be 80. Now it's below 70. Doctors mostly now live 66 years. So why? Because we are living in more polluted environment. More and more of people eat more and more vegetables, depending on carbohydrate, depending on a forbidden food, the dietary glucose. This is the reason. And our lifespan is designed, as the Bible says, for 600 years and more. And this is because before, our youth age was much larger when we lived in a clean environment, feeding ourselves correctly. And also menopause did not come with a 52 years old, it came way later. So everything was pushed the other way and people lived also much longer. Now, can we change this now? Well, programming is still the same. So it is simple to change this. You can extend your life. You can, if you are 30 or 40 years old, you can stop in this progress of aging and actually even rejuvenate a little bit by changing diet, ditching the forbidden fruit. I have seen it myself because when I did experiment about 8 years ago, I ditched glucose completely, which was pretty hard because I am Croat, and from Croatia, Croats eat bread with everything, with pasta, with rice, with everything. And for me, bread, I could not imagine life without bread. So when I ditched it and started eating, I was really strict. And I was eating only raw meat, liver, cheese, yogurt, stuff like this, eggs. And I was in Venezuela at that time. And when we returned back to island of Saint Martin, I used to live on a yacht at those days, and we saw our friends. Some of our friends came to my wife asking if I had plastic surgery. This is how rejuvenated I was just within 7 months of doing this. Also with hydration, cleansing, which I started earlier. So there is no doubt, and even now, even that I am still experimenting and I am eating now, I just finished experimentation with the chocolate, because chocolate, health food, doesn't really have a caffeine, but has substances similar to caffeine. And I wanted to see for sure, and of course I got dehydrated by eating daily, not all the time, but every night almost, chocolate, dark chocolate that was not with sugar, so it's not glucose, it was strictly the compounds of chocolate, which we deem to be antioxidants. It's all big baloney what we are being told. Actually, my joints start clicking again, and I saw some varicose veins, so I stopped now with my experimentation. This is good enough for me. I'm back on my hydration and clean diet. And again, I'm going to rejuvenate from the clean diet. This is no doubt about it, because I feel younger. Even having this poisonous chocolate, I still was feeling better and better. So what happens? We are calibrated. Our brain is a processor and has implanted programs. And according to this program, everything is preset. So the life has its expectancy as long as you don't change the program. And we are programmed for a life of 600 plus years, which we can very easily resume by making some changes in our diet. That's all, and cleansing the body, of course. That's all that has to be done. And when we do this, automatically we trigger cleansing and healing effect. and we heal and we start living long, and creases go away, and sunspots go away, everything gets great again. And people see us younger and we feel younger. Because as we cleanse, telomeres extend. There is no more need for proliferation, because cell will not change if it is healthy. Only when it's toxic, when it cannot hold a charge, this is when proliferation happens. So it doesn't matter how many times a cell can replace itself. It's nonsensical even looking in this way. You can be with the same set of cells whole life. Just keep yourself clean and healthy. Eat correct food. Eat the food of God and have access to salts. Every animal in nature is looking for salt baths where they can go and get hand of the salt so they can cleanse. You cannot cleanse without salts, without minerals. It's absolutely crucial. And the important, if you want to become younger again, you do these things, and another thing which is very important, which goes with your emotion, is your thought. Because your cells will do what commands the brain. Now, brain is programmed, so it will send messages as it was programmed. So if you believe that when you are 60, you are frail and your bones can easily break, and you should be sick and with high blood pressure, well, you are sending these messages to your cells, and cell says, okay, brother, this is what I'm going to do. This is why people who talk a lot about diseases, they're always sick. So don't talk about what you don't want to happen. You cannot say, oh, I want to get rid of cancer. Well, you just have mentioned cancer. So cell hears, do not want cancer. Okay. Cancer, want cancer. So do not mention what you don't think about it. More important. You got, and reprogram yourself. This is why this teaching is going on. We have to absorb the new information. You want to be young? Think of yourself as young. And if you get distracted by what you see in a mirror, look for some picture that you have of where you looked really great, the way you would love to look now. Blow it up and paste it over the mirror. Change your diet. Drink water with sea salt. Hydrate, cleanse, rejuvenate. And when you are brushing your teeth, you look in this picture of yours, imagining that this is you. And just say to yourself, ooh, I'm young, I'm looking really great. Because this is now reprogramming that is going into your brain that will replace, because what we call consciousness. Consciousness is our awareness. And brain's programming we call the subconscious. It is not a mind. Okay? Mind is your consciousness. Mindlessness is your subconsciousness. Is what is the basic program. And the basic program just does calculation and projection. So if you set in your basic program that you are old and frail, this is when you are not thinking about it. This is what the response is going to be. Every time cell wants to do something, it asks the brain, okay, what are we going to do? And the brain says, well, you are old and frail. Okay, there we go. We got to change this. Without it, everything else will be useless. So this is even more important than changing diet and all the other stuff. But again, one thing does not work without the other, because those are all frequencies required. One frequency changes the other frequency, influences it for change. And since we are living mostly in subconsciousness, because you are not thinking, okay, my heart has to beat now, or I have to take a breath now, or I have to produce this hormone now and this hormone. Consciously, you cannot handle it, because your consciousness only works on the focus. So what you focus on, this you are conscious of. You can see now this picture of me talking to you. Now if you close your eyes, well, try to remember what color is, I don't know, the fingernail on the picture behind me. You cannot remember it because you do not focus on it. But the information is in your brain. Your brain has the whole picture, and it will be there. This is why if you are hypnosis, you can be brought in there, and you can, if somebody asks you then, what do you see? I see this and this. Okay, what color is the nail? And you look at, okay, it's this and this color, because the picture stays there. Okay, it's a imprint, it's electromagnetic imprint that always stays with you. Not only in the brain, it's in the environment. And the environment is always with you. So programming of the brain is very important, and it's done through repetition or through heart. You can do it much quicker through heart. One time you do it and you're done. The only thing is not easy to do it, to go into the heart and project it this way. We have to work on it. We have to connect mind with our heart. We have to, what they say, think with your heart. Well, not easy to do, because then everything is beautiful, everything is love. You don't see anything bad in anybody. And this is not so easy, especially when some schmuck runs you over or hits you with a car. You know, it's not easy to say, hey brother, how you doing? Oh, okay, I love you. Oh, you want to break his teeth and everything around him. So we gotta change. And don't buy for this crap that you are going to buy some pill or some tincture that is now going to make you younger. Without changing this, it's not going to happen. And you gotta cleanse. You can change the frequencies without cleansing. This is true. And this is where we are going. This is what is going to be happening. And I'm learning how to do this in my ayahuasca sessions. Again, it's a knowledge, it's a process. But majority people don't have access to this. So basically know that you can do brilliant things just by changing the diet, start eating correctly and cleanse, and then program the way with things which are available to you. As I said, some photograph, paste it on and look at it instead of your face, and then after a few months you look in the mirror and you will see a completely different picture. Okay, I think that I gave you enough information here. Think about it. Any question, let me know. And thank you for being here and listening. See you soon. Bye.